Welcome to Music's the Hang Up. In this episode, we're talking to Tropical Breeze. He's an electronic musician, but also builds these incredible 3D worlds that are very reminiscent of Vaporwave, just stylized in Mayan futuristic worlds. It's incredible. For those that don't know much about Mayans, it's like ancient Hispanic style art. So I reached out to him, and seeing some of his gifts that he makes in the 3D worlds, the scenes that he's doing, and he's working on a music video with FM Skyline. I think he's got a huge future, and because he makes music and 3D worlds, I thought it'd be interesting to talk to him. The interview was awesome. I had a really good rapport with him, and I'm really excited for you guys to listen to this one. It's probably one of my favorite episodes I've had thus far. Before we get into it, his song is playing in the background, Summer Jams. I like it. It's on his album, YUCATEC Travel International. Let's get into it. So, welcome to the show. Tropical Breeze is on. Let me get you to introduce yourself.
Hey, my name is Luis. I go by Tropical Breeze. I am a artist, musician. Lately been leaning more towards the art side, working as a 3D artist, but also been doing music, trying to collaborate, with other artists, trying to do 3D music projects, stuff like that. But just trying to get my feet wet in the world of 3D while trying to maintain my music at the same time. Yeah, it's kind of my main points there.
And for people that don't know you, it seems like a lot of your art style, especially in the 3D, it's like this tropical vaporwave. How did you get into vaporwave?
Yeah, so pretty weird, I guess. I accidentally, back in 2011, I think it was, I was always in these blogs, just kind of downloading random stuff. So I wasn't purposefully looking for vaporwave stuff, although I was always into hip hop, sampling beats. I did that with a friend of mine. We would just find records, take them home, sample them, and we had a little SP404. We would just make beats and stuff. But I downloaded an album by Computer Dreams. I think it was called Silk Road, but it blew my mind. I grew up listening to DJ Screw, stuff like that, because one of my older brothers was very much into that hip hop world, and just showed me DJ Screw, growing up. I found it super interesting that this album, the Computer Dreams one, was doing essentially what he was doing, but using completely different music. A lot of the DJ Screw, it takes hardcore rap, stuff like that. So it could be a little aggressive. I'm not that aggressive, so I like a little more nuance. I like just softer sounds, stuff like that. So I started going from there. After I found that, I started looking further into it, and I'd always been to cyberpunk stuff. A huge fan of William Gibson, Shadowrun, Akira, Blade Runner, all that good stuff. So I think it was kind of pushing me in that direction of this vaporwave scene, because I like the kind of cyberpunk aesthetic, and then just the whole futurism, I think, is really what caught my attention. Started finding more musicians and came across Esprit, the song, I would say Starboy. That song totally turned me on. James Ferraro, huge inspiration too. Echo Virtual, a lot of the big names from their early stuff, but it totally turned me on, and I started listening to stuff on Beer on the Rug, just Bandcamp pages with just tons of albums. And I would just be at work and just pick an album, hit play, put my headphones on, and just listen to it. I think that's kind of how I got into it, though. Just accidentally download an album, and then I'm just like, oh, what the hell? There's this whole world starting to emerge, and it just keeps getting bigger.
Yeah, interesting. So how did you go from listening to it to wanting to make the visuals and the music?
Yeah, it was I'd been an artist my whole life. That's kind of that was my main thing. I've always been into music too. At the same time, I've always wanted to find some sort of outlet where I can combine the two. I'll be honest, my direction for art and music was just everywhere. A few years back, I played more of live instruments, so it was more I played in bands around town. We did, the rock scene, indie scene. Had a typical garage rock band that sounded like the Strokes and stuff. But I was always really like bent on trying to merge these two things together. How it started was I actually started doing a lot of graphic design, illustrative work, and I used to make collage work. Like I would buy stacks of old National Geographic magazines. I'd bring them home, cut them up or scan them or whatever, put them into Photoshop, and just make collage art out of it.
Huh.
I noticed at the time that I was doing that, my music started to become kind of like that. Like I was getting tired of the process, as terrible as that sounds. Grab my guitar and write a song, or sit at the piano and play a part. It's just I definitely wanted instant gratification, but at the same time, I was finding this aesthetic with these kind of like repurposing things. I made an album. It was like a psych rock album. It literally was just like off the cuff. Like I would just sit down, hit record on my 4-track Tascam cassette recorder,
Hmm.
and I would just play anything, whatever came to mind. I didn't write any of the music. I didn't, write lyrics beforehand. I just played. And when I was done with each song, I think it was a total about 10 songs. Each song I sang random lyrics. I would just play the song and just sing, and whatever came, that's what I used. I didn't think about the lyrics or the words. It was weird. It like I guess it sounds kind of lazy, but it's just this kind of like I don't know, just like this freedom of expression type thing. I wasn't trying to create this concept album, with like full detail. It was more of just kind of like getting stuff out, as fast as I could, just to kind of satisfy myself creatively. Going from that scene and getting more into the cyberpunk stuff and electronic, that whole aesthetic and stuff, I started realizing it was like, hey, people are kind of doing this same thing, repurposing things, but using old 80s music or weird commercials. And I just found that so fascinating that I wanted to try it for myself. Definitely I started doing that, and then I kept coming back with instruments. So even though I was sampling stuff, I still tried my best to add over synthesizers, guitar work, percussion, anything that I can kind of do a little more hands-on at the same time, so like sampling stuff.
Okay. So for people that don't know you, at the moment under Tropical Breeze, you've released 2 songs, correct?
Yeah, so there was like I think there was three. One on my main EP, then I released one on a compilation. I know we had did a waterfront dining compilation. It was like a set of just other musicians who basically just did a song that kind of related to waterfront dining and the style that they were doing. So I did my own interpretation. And then I did another original song that was part of a compilation as just new artist. I think we had like Cat System Corp on there as well. But a virtual sound system is what it is. It was like a label based out of Mexico that was doing some kind of audio, like just sampling from different musicians, like all over the place. And they reached out to me and wanted to do a just throw a track on there. So that one was kind of more of like a little bit synthier, but it definitely had samples, definitely related to the kind of vaporwave stuff. Oh, it was Virtual Essentials is what it was called, and Virtual Essentials Volume One. Yeah, there's a good amount of artists on that compilation, which is pretty cool.
The reason why I bring that up, though, is I'm sure a lot of my listeners are wondering, someone with such a small footprint, how did they get on the show? And I think what really fascinates me about you is how you're building up this kind of world, right? YUCATEC?
Yeah, Neo Yucatec. Yeah.
How would you describe that?
I've always enjoyed complex worlds. When I saw the movie Akira for the first time, I was completely enamored, completely blown away. To me, it was like the greatest film ever made. At the time, I was just really blown away by it because it's a real place, it's a real thing. It's Japan, it's in the future, but it's been devastated. It's post-apocalyptic. There's this, heavy politics going on. There's this people losing their moral compass, trying to find a certain philosophy in life, on how to live. Young kids are in a biker gang going wild and stuff. And I really enjoyed that kind of complex world. So I actually took the challenge of just kind of creating my own world. Not to go too long of a story, but I used to be an anthropology major when I was doing music and art. I just wanted to do it on my own, and so I wanted to go to school for a different, just different topic altogether. So I chose anthropology, and at the time I was studying like Mayan culture, Aztec culture, just anything Mesoamerican. I even got a chance to go on an archaeological dig. I was an assistant. I did archaeological drawings. I reconstructed artwork, kind of broken artifacts like pottery, shell, gorgets, and just anything with like kind of artwork on it that was broken, I would try to recreate it. As I was doing that, I was working as like part time doing that stuff. I was just still into this whole cyberpunk thing and futurism, and I started kind of like doing my own drawings and sketches of like this kind of made up futuristic Mayan world. Like if the Mayans maybe never kind of just disappeared into the brush, into the jungle and stuff, and this would kind of be this revival of that, kind of repurposing the aesthetics of it, the visuals, the culture. Because we always look at that stuff and we say, oh, that was the past, or oh, the ancient Mayan civilization, or something really old and no longer here with us. But quite the contrary, they're still very much alive. They're unified people. There's a rebellious group in southern Mexico called the Zapatistas. Their leader, Subcommander Marcus, is really inspiring because he does what he says, and I really enjoyed how he kind of helps revive their community. He helped them start rebuilding, kind of creating artwork, murals in their little towns, and really kind of bringing them back up. And thought that was so cool. And so I took the aesthetic of just pushing it forward, like making it look futuristic. And that's what I wanted to do. I kind of have this story that I've been writing about this kid who he's like this whatever computer hacker kid who like builds these super sweet like virtual reality rigs and stuff, and like it's the future, so like people are like obsessed with virtual reality and simulations, and it's kind of like a drug or something, and people are obsessed with it. So this kid like pretty much like mods computers and stuff to as a living, so that people can have their own like virtual reality systems in their households and stuff. To also add to that, most recent animation that I did, a 3D piece, I titled it Neo YUCATEC 2487. Kind of like just imagined how it could look like, from far away, this kind of like weird surreal world existing in this kind of like higher plane now, since the year 2487. It totally worked out. I had a FM Skyline. I want to throw a shout out to him. He helped me out so much with adding sound to it and some music. Went up to him, we had been chatting for some time now. I had wanted to incorporate his sounds with some artwork, and I showed him that piece, and he brought perfect sound background to it that it worked really well. That piece I'm really proud of. It just took quite a bit of work and some time animating it, and I think it's kind of like a little snippet into that kind of like weird futuristic world that I wanted to create.
For people who haven't had a chance to see it, it looks like sort of like an island with a temple at the top, and then a time traveling. I don't know. What would you describe that purple
Mm.
shape that's moving?
Yeah, so it's basically like a portal, and right, it's this kind of mountainous region where this city is kind of existing. It's almost like they've retreated to this area because it's like fruitful. There's trees, mountainous area, but the rest around it is like this endless desert. It's there's
Yeah,
just
that's true.
it kind of just goes on and on and on. I did that on purpose to kind of emphasize like it's literally like so far into the future, like maybe crap has hit the fan, and this is like their last oasis. And the
Hmm.
figure appearing through that portal is Tlaloc, and Tlaloc is the Mayan rain god, or kind of god of
Ah.
water. So he's appearing from this portal, this kind of like even higher being. This hand appears out of this portal and drops his character off. He bobs up and down for a few seconds. There's these kind of gems that kind of come out like little particles that shoot out of this portal for just kind of make it look cool and stuff. And he brings the water to this futuristic city. Even though it is futurism, I still wanted to keep this sort of sense of like magic, sense of spiritualism, just to kind of have these two planes exist. There's like high technology. Perhaps because of the technology, we just have moved up a plane in existence or something. There's this kind of sense of magic, these like beings that are far bigger and more powerful or whatever you have it, who are kind of like taking care of these humans who are existing in this area, in this plane with them or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. That's part of the big reason why I wanted to talk to you, because I think the worlds are really beautiful, and for people who know vaporwave, it fits. And
Nice.
I don't know if anyone actually has tapped into Mayans yet.
Mm.
Yet everyone talks about the Romans or just the busts and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that is an interesting note. When I first came across the vaporwave scene, I thought it was really interesting that they're using these Roman busts. Of course, it's very fresh, it's clean feeling, very classy, that whole thing. Yeah, it blew my mind. I like the sense of history already. At the
Yeah.
time I was doing the anthropology thing. Yeah, I was like, "Oh, that's so cool." Like I love the repurposing of weird objects, like taking something from a different part of culture that means something in a certain way, and it's pretty much like memeing and stuff, like taking things out of context and repurposing them. I really enjoy that. So I wanted to do the same with the mind thing, but I wanted to be careful, not use it in the same exact way, but kind of give that vaporwave feeling, sense of mood, all that good stuff, but have just different imagery and a whole kind of different, like, to me, that's nostalgic, or that's my hark back to this kind of old nostalgic thing for me. Is like the old Mayan culture and stuff.
Well, obviously, we've been talking about all these virtual worlds that you're making. How do you do them? What tools are you using?
I've been cracking my head open with multiple programs. Working with 3D, you start to realize that you think one program can do it all, and it can, but most of the time you're going to be bouncing back and forth between, it could be one program, anywhere up to like three, four programs, depending what you want. In the sense of this one, the Neo YUCATEC 2487, that was one program essentially for the most part, which is Cinema 4D. Awesome 3D program. I don't know where I'd be without it. It's like, it's extended my artistry in a sense. Like, if I didn't have it, I don't know that I could have been able to like create this world. I mean, I could have probably drawn it or something, but I enjoy the process. 3D art is not does not have a finesse to it. It's not very romantic. It's like it's I don't look like a cool hacker dude, or like I'm sitting under a spotlight painting away with my brushes. Like it's nothing like that at all. It's slow. it's it's time consuming. A lot of the time you're learning the program. It's you're kind of learning the tool set as you move along. But it's super critical to kind of, especially for this like digital, a lot of digital art, it goes along with the vaporwave scene too. So it was a great way to go. But yeah, so I use that, but I do also use 3ds Max mainly for just kind of building custom 3D models. And then you have also like Unreal Engine, which allows you to kind of set up these 3D worlds. If you want to kind of move around in that 3D world, you can, and Unreal Engine can do that. So add a character, and well, you can inhabit that character and like literally run around, jump around, and walk around in that world and turn it into a game of some sort, which hopefully, maybe in the future, I could try to do something like that. So we'll see. That's another realm, but yeah. So to make this piece, I mean, Cinema 4D, 3ds Max, and a lot of Photoshop, Premiere Pro for the video editing part.
Yeah, it's a skill set that not a lot of people have, and the 3D worlds is definitely taking it to the next level. That's cool that you've broken into that.
Yeah, yeah, thanks. Yeah, it has been a challenge. I'm mainly self-taught. I did take one course on 3D. It's just kind of an intro foundation course on how 3D works and basically the general idea to it. Other than that, lots of YouTube. There's so many kind people out there willing to give their time and share thoughts and philosophies on how to model something or break something down. And to be honest, when I got into 3D, I had the intention of going into video games. You can't make a game on your own unless you have a lot of time. It's possible with really simple artwork. You can make a game happen if you're like, say, you're more into coding, and you can do simple imagery and get a game out. But me as an artist, I want the artwork to look excellent, and I'm not good at the other stuff. So I ended up just having these cool looking pieces in the end, but I couldn't make them move, or I couldn't run around in them like a game. So I started posting these 2D images of 3D works, and I started receiving comments on them, and people liked them, saying it fit in with the vaporwave style and stuff. I don't even know that I was intentionally trying to make vaporwave art. I had a appreciation for really early 3D artwork, the mind's eye, that kind of stuff. Those videos, early 3D demo reels, just totally inspired me. I love the low poly, smooth, shiny looking plastic stuff because it gives me that retro futuristic aesthetic that I really enjoy.
That's awesome. It definitely sounds like you're going down the 3D route, but you also mentioned that you have an EP coming out soon, Summer Jams. Is that still on track, or what does that look like?
Yeah, at the time I was writing it, I think the idea for the album was much simpler than it is now, which is kind of making these just feel good, kind of summery type songs. Well, that summer the album did not come out because I started committing to 3D art, and it ended up taking pretty much all my time. So it got put on hold. I might even change the name of the album, considering. So for the one song I do have up, just so people can kind of know some of the rhythms and percussion in the backgrounds. The samples I do use are taken from like kind of old Mayan drum rhythms and stuff. Then I also use like, old Mexican commercials and TV shows and stuff to get that kind of feel. And then I add on top instruments, synth, guitar, whatever I think of at the moment. So the album has changed in direction. I'm more set on the textures and sounds that I want to kind of how I want it to come across. So it's definitely picking up speed now that I have a solid direction with it. I think I've just kind of made it grow, working with 3D art, incorporating these certain visuals. You know what? Like, I think I have more of a concept or an idea now for the album. So I've decided to take my time on it. It was just kind of mainly sample based, but I started adding those live instruments. And now that I did, I'm happy that I did, and I want to continue to do that. Yeah, I definitely do intend to release the album this year. I'm finishing up some 3D projects. Once I do finish those, I'm pumped. I'm ready to just jump back on, just get, making some more tunes to finish off the album.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to that because I'm most of your stuff at the moment has just been pretty short clips of GIFs, and I want to see how you take your music and the worlds that you build, and yeah, definitely see how those collaborate together.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah.
Speaking of collaborations, is there any artist that you would like to like make music videos for, or has anybody reached out to you to do stuff like that?
Yeah, so like I said, I've been speaking with FM Skyline for some time. Mainly on Twitter, we've been chatting. Just been this kind of mutual thing. Both like the same style of music as far as for vaporwave stuff. Whole kind of utopian, virtual, futuristic sounds, and we just had a lot in common. The visuals and the music. I approached him about the Neo YUCATEC clip, and he agreed. He was very happy to kind of help out with that. Through that, actually, I am working on a music video for him.
Oh, cool.
I've been very quiet about it because it's probably one of the biggest 3D projects I've done to date. Yeah, it's not for my own music, but that didn't bother me at all. Like, I love making music. Like I said, the 3D thing has just got a grasp on me right now. So I am working with him on that. We're making a full music video for him, and I'm hoping to get this done pretty soon. His records for his latest album should be shipping out soon. So I'm hoping that once people start getting their hands on it real soon at the beginning of April, could release the video to kind of keep that excitement for the album going. I've also been chatting with Alternate Skies. Does a lot of kind of weather lo-fi. I'm not sure how you describe it, but he just takes these kind of weather channel clips and audio and makes these really sweet soundscapes. It makes me feel like I'm a kid again and sitting in my parents' room watching the weather channel early in the morning before school to see what's going to happen. But yeah, we've been talking too, so I'm itching to do something for him as well. Just some kind of cool little gifts and his songs for an album. Also, SPV Laboratories, really cool guy. I've been chatting with him. He has a cool concept album that kind of ventures into the realm I'm in with this kind of tropical theme, Mesoamerican stuff. So that should be pretty exciting. Been in the works with him, just kind of talking about ideas for artwork. So nothing too much happening there yet, but just kind of talking. Um, but yeah, if I could though, collaborate with people, I've enjoyed stuff from like Infinity Frequencies, Windows 96. I think he's got a great sound. And Carta 95, I think he's so cool. He is into this whole kind of retro computer world stuff too. He's like a big collector of retro electronics, but he's been kind of meddling around in like I believe Unity or Unreal. I'm not sure which program he's using, but he's been doing 3D work too, and I thought that was really cool. Interesting to maybe try to collaborate with him. I like to see other musicians and stuff who do 3D stuff. I say my biggest inspirations and someone who I could in the far future if I collaborate with someone, Keith Rankin and the whole kind of Orange Milk crew.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, that aesthetic they got going on is it's insane. I know it's not exactly vaporwave, but to me, it just kind of falls in this big kind of blanket, or kind of is under this umbrella of this kind of
Yeah.
surreal, electronic, futuristic, kind of almost like abstract. Yeah, there's just a few people I would say like, inspired and would love to do something.
Well, now that you put it out there, hopefully it comes to fruition.
Yeah, right. Hey, if anybody listening.
So we're actually starting to wrap it up here. Or do you have any advice for people interested in like 3D art making, or maybe even getting into the vaporwave scene? What would you tell them?
First things first, don't be afraid. I mean, I think people get caught up with trying to create this sort of look for themselves, a style for themselves. And that is super important in the vaporwave community. I know people look at a profile and just hit follow because of just how it feels,
Yeah.
Don't wait for someone to tell you what to do. You'll find it. After all, this is for yourself. Yeah, you can't wait for something to just fall on your lap and say, "This is what I want to do now." Like, no, you do it, do the work, and you go out and find it. So as far as the music part goes, just experiment. Almost anywhere really. Just pull stuff and kind of make this collage of what you would want to see or hear. And as far as for the art part, working with 3D art, it's been getting a lot of attention, I think, with the vaporwave community, just because, again, it just fits in that kind of realm that part of the whole aesthetic and stuff. To me, it's playful. It's like playful artwork. Yes, it can be confusing with the programs. It looks like you're sitting at like an airplane or something with all these freaking tools and buttons like above you, below you, beside you. My first 3D renders and stuff, oh my god, it's just crap. But I mean, it's just plopping shapes down and just manipulating them. How far can I push it? What does this do? What does that do? And then once I've completely corrupted the file, I just delete it and start over again. It's just a matter of getting comfortable with the tools. So you start off with a simple shape, grab an edge, a point, a vertex, or whatever, and just start pulling away and deconstructing a shape, and that can kind of help you get a grasp of how things move in a 3D world, and then how to apply tools to those objects or shapes or whatever. But slowly, don't overwhelm yourself. Go slow, take your time, and most importantly, just have fun with it.
To the people that do follow you, do you have anything you want to say to them?
Oh my gosh, do people follow me?
That's...
I'm very quiet on social media. For those who do follow me, thank you for keeping up, checking out the things I do have, and I hope you're excited for what's to come. I'm excited for this year. 2019 has been pretty good to me so far. I haven't put a lot out, but I've been getting work done. So I hope people stick around and be excited for what's to come.
Based off of your Twitter, you've got links to your Bandcamp and Instagram, but you also shared with me your website, tropicalvirtual.net, which is a great place for people to catch up screenshots and like even music videos. So if people want to follow that, where else could people find you if they want to check you out after this interview?
Yeah, Twitter and Instagram are probably my most active places. So yeah, definitely, look me up on Twitter and Instagram if you haven't already. Go by at tropicalbrz underscore on both Instagram and Twitter. But yeah, tropicalvirtual.net. It's a website I made recently, just kind of showcasing stuff I'm working on at the moment, some stuff I haven't shared on Twitter and Instagram. I think it's a good place to see other work that I do as far as like 3D modeling, level design, and kind of more video game stuff. But yeah, those are like my three main places, as well as the Bandcamp, which should have the album later this year.
And for people that are interested, I do want to point out on the website, there's some awesome screenshots. There's one, a waterfront with, how do I describe this? It's almost like a coliseum with water in the center, and there's statues, and the reflection on the walls the blues and the purples. It just looks so beautiful. So I
Mm.
wish I could put on a headset and check it out, you know?
Listen to the imagery. That is actually a snippet from the music video.
Is that right? Awesome.
It's a Roman bathhouse, is what it is.
Yeah, okay. That's what a
Um,
bathhouse. Okay.
Created that whole entire building, put it all together, created the walls, the textures, some assets I pulled from online with permission and stuff for the columns, some complicated modeling that I just did not have time to because the project was so huge with animation and just setting up lighting, placement of everything. But yeah. So some of the screenshots in there is from the bathhouse that I've been, this Roman style bathhouse that I've been working on for
Hmm.
the music video.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it then. Awesome. Well, I think that covers everything for this episode. Anything else you want to say?
I guess I will say I am excited for the vaporwave community. I think there's a lot of cool stuff happening. A lot of people say, "Oh, they're just not sure where the community's going," or they think it's maybe kind of coming to a halt. But I really don't think that. I think it's only just beginning. I think people are solidifying on what vaporwave means. I don't think it's even a genre of music anymore. I think it's just this kind of blanket title for this kind of style that people have been doing, this whole kind of nostalgic or kind of harking to like a different time or something. I think we're uncovering something and we still are figuring it out. Doctorb on Twitter, who's writing a research paper, just wanted to do a shout out to him, is actually talking about vaporwave, what it means to the community, how it's interpreted, what it is, and what it's coming to be. And he's doing this like full-on research paper about it. He has a small group of people who working on it, doing these flashcards with this kind of like a little mini game. And the mini game is answering questions in a creative way to explain kind of what vaporwave means to you. So that should be coming out, I think, later this year. There's like 3 phases of like little mini games that kind of make it all happen. But again, just wanted to say that I'm pretty excited for this year. There's a lot of cool stuff happening in the background, and I think it'll be pretty exciting at the end of 2019.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for mentioning all that because I didn't know a lot of that information, and I'm not sure if the community did as well. Sweet.
Yeah. Doktorb.
Okay.
I think off the top of my head. But yeah, check him out, and that should be something pretty cool to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and we do have show notes for everyone listening. So the show notes will list a lot of the links that we talked about and the artist and that project and all that kind of stuff. Well, I think that covers it. I really appreciate your time coming on the show and sharing your world with us. That was amazing.
Hey man, thank you so much for doing that, and thank you for reaching out to me. This is a great opportunity for me to talk a little bit about the art, kind of in depth. I don't talk a whole lot on online because I'm just at this computer doing stuff. Yeah, this is great though. This will give a kind of a digest of what's going on or what's been going on and what's to come. So thank you again for reaching out to me.
Yeah, not a problem. That was an awesome interview. Thanks, Tropical Breeze. I really enjoyed that. I feel like I really got a better understanding of the worlds that you're building, this YUCATEC style of art, and I'm very interested in the music video that's going to be coming out. If you want to follow him, he is at Tropical Breeze _, and that's BRZ. I'll put all the links in the show notes. I definitely think you guys should check out his art. He does have his own website that has these incredible worlds. It's just, they're very beautiful, they're very high quality, and definitely worth the time. If you enjoyed this episode, come hang out with me. We're on Discord. You can talk to some of the artists that we interview, promote your music, and know when the latest cassettes, vinyls, and concerts are coming out. Also, if you missed last episode, I just announced that on musicstohangup.com, you can now see a live calendar, updated daily, updated almost hourly, when a new cassette, vinyl, or concert is going to be coming out. I put it on that list there so you can be up to date on the latest physical releases. I think that's important and something that's missing in the scene. If you are releasing something and you want your stuff to stand out a little bit more, I am now selling a promotion pack. If you want to contact me about that, you can hit me up on Twitter at musicstohangup. I hope that kind of gets your music out there. That's the idea here. It's a great way for you to promote your stuff, so feel free to contact me. Thanks for listening. Cheers.